Light's about to change. Wide open throttle. Almost got a little wheel hop there. 60. So,
welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2025 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid. And I'm going to tell you why this is one of the best hybrid vehicles on the market today. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, the 2025 Honda Civic is a mid-cycle refresh. That's right, now the Civic got a new look and feel and a new powertrain for 2025. If you haven't already watched our exclusive first look, where we did a full walk around in studio with both this hatchback body style and the sedan body style, be sure to watch and like that video as well. We covered all of the details on that, but we didn't get a chance to take it for a drive, which we're going to do today. But for those that haven't watched it, I'm still going to go through like usual and explain all the details on this refreshed Civic. But first, let's talk about pricing. So for 2025, for the hatchback body style, it's pretty simple. There's 3 trims and 3 trims only. So the first trim is actually the Sport trim, and that actually isn't a hybrid. That still uses the 2-liter naturally aspirated engine that Honda had in the vehicle before. That car starts at $27,450. Of course, we'll put all the pricing down below for you. And then to step up into the Sport Hybrid, it's only $2,500, which I think is a deal given you're getting a lot more power. You go from 150 to 200 horsepower. You're getting even more features and content. So that might be the trim to get. But to get this Sport Touring Hybrid, you got to jump up even further. So this car here is $32,950 MSRP. Now, of course, that doesn't include the upcharge for the paint that you see here, which is Honda's Boost Blue Pearl. So this color is really, really bright and vibrant and definitely shows up the sporty character lines of this hatchback. So now let's go ahead and jump into the exterior and talk about all the details. So one of the big change points for 2025 was they actually changed the entire front fascia of the Civic, and it looks really, really good. In fact, it looks more like the Type R now, right? They really expanded this whole lower opening, which has, some functional openings down there as well, so it's not just for design, but it really gives the Civic a much more aggressive look and feel. Also, a couple things that they did is they added these kind of like eyelids here below the LED headlights, and it's a really nice touch. Now, on the entry trims, that's actually paint. It's actually not painted. It's kind of like just a plastic finish. But on this top touring trim here, it's actually painted body color, which I think really complements the front end. And not just that, this lower little piece here down by the lip, that's actually painted body color on this top trim as well. So without those painted, it's obviously going to change the look and feel. So let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you like it body color? Do you like it painted, with just or do you like it not painted, right, with the plastic finish? I think it looks really good here. You got the big 3D Honda badge, this kind of honeycomb mesh, and with this being the top Sport Touring Hybrid trim, you do get 4 parking sensors up front. There are no LED fog lights. You do have a little bit of functional venting down below, but again, I think it still has a really aggressive look and feel. So next, let's make our way to the side, and you can take in the whole profile. Now, the overall body style and shape didn't change for 2025. Again, this is just a mid-cycle refresh, but one of the key change points were the changes to the wheel design. And I think they look great. These are 18-inch wheels. And what Honda did is they actually went with a sharp gray paint, but they did a matte finish and then did a machine finish on top of that. So it gives it a really premium and sporty look to it. Now, these are 235 40R18 tires on here. And of course, with it being a hybrid, they're geared more towards fuel efficiency than anything else. So, you know, that's probably going to affect some of the driving performance, but we'll definitely cover that in the drive review. Now, on the side of the vehicle, you still get things like these gloss black mirror caps. You get LED turn signals in those as well. So that's a really nice premium touch point. You also get the matte window treatment all around. That looks really good. And then down below on the hatch, not the sedan, you also get this kind of like side spoiler that, you know, just kind of juts out a little bit. And because it's a plastic finish against this boost blue, it kind of breaks things up and looks really, really nice. So we'll make our way to the rear. It's a square setup on the wheels and tires, so we'll leave that. But as we get to the rear of the hatchback, really nothing changed for this mid-cycle refresh, which is a good thing, right? Because this was already a good-looking vehicle. Now, out back, you got the prominent Honda badge, the Civic badge. You also get Sport, Touring, and a hybrid badge. So there's a lot of badges, a lot of chrome back here, but it at least tells you that you're in the top trim Sport Touring Hybrid. Now, with this being the hatch, you're going to have a lot more usability, which we'll cover in the cargo space. But you do get things like a rear window wiper back here, so that's pretty nice. And down below, you get this kind of aggressive, you know, diffuser down here. Now, there are no exposed exhausts on the hybrid, but it still shows its sporty intentions with this new diffuser design. And just like the front, you still get 4 parking sensors in the rear. So good safety tech all the way around. And next, I think we should go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, here we are inside the 2025 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid. It's a good place to be. There's lots of premium touch points. That's true with all the Civic trims. But let's talk specifically about the features and content on this vehicle. So, you know, first and foremost, you got a great steering wheel. It's leather wrapped, a little bit of contrast stitching, very ergonomic, and you got great controls. All your volume, all that stuff's on the left. All your safety and ADAS is on the right. There are deceleration paddle shifters, but we'll talk about how those work and what they do during the drive. Just like all the other Civics, you get this kind of honeycomb, you know, grill mesh that continues across the entire length of the dash, which covers the HVAC vents. Now, what's new and different for 2025 is there's like this border that goes around it. It's now like this gray color on the hatchback. So if you're familiar with the other Civics, it'll instantly stick out to you. If you've never seen it before, it may not be a big deal, but it is a change point for 2025. Other than that, yeah, you got really, really nice seats. They're well bolstered on the sides and the lower side. On the driver's side, you got 8-way power seats. On the passenger, you got 4-way power seats, and they're both 3-stage heated seats as well. So really, really nice materials. And again, with this being the top trim, there is a leather interior throughout. If you drop down even to the Sport Hybrid, all of a sudden you lose the leather treatment on the inside. So that's a big deal there. Let's talk quickly about some of the infotainment. You do get a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster, and it's on the other touring trims, and it isn't necessarily new for 2025, but what is new is some of the graphics that are in there are specific to the hybrid fuel efficiency, and there's even some new ADAS, you know, so the safety graphics have been updated as well. So we'll show that for you, but that's a nice improvement for 2025. You still get this 9-inch color touchscreen. The big talking point for 2025 is you get Google built in. And if you've watched some of our other videos, you've heard that technology before, you might know what it is, but let me just explain one more time. So essentially it's 3 applications. So built into the vehicle, meaning you don't need your cell phone or anything like that. Google Maps, that is the standard map software in the vehicle, and it can be displayed here or even a portion of the digital instrument cluster. So that's a really nice feature. The next is the Google Assistant. So that takes over all the controls for the vehicle as well. It's not just your volume and things like that. We'll show you how that works, but basically you can say, hey Google, and then, you know, actually ask it to change things like your HVAC, you know, your temperature control, things like that. So that's pretty cool. And then lastly, you have the Google Play Store, which allows you to download and update new apps into your system here. So that's Google built in. That comes on this top Sport Touring hybrid trim, but you also still get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, and it's wireless. So a lot of great tech and features in this car, especially given the price point. Now, down below here, you get two USB-C charge ports. One is for data, one is specifically for charging. You also got a 12-volt socket, and then down below in this pad, there's a wireless charging pad as well. So lots of connectivity up front. There's even some connectivity in the rear, which we'll get to in a second. But, you know, this kind of area here doesn't really change much at the mid-cycle refresh. You still have a mechanical shifter to shift through the gears. There's a little toggle switch here to go through the drive modes, an electronic parking brake and brake hold. Decent cup holders here, and a pretty big center console area to store stuff. And outside of having a nice, one-touch, power moonroof, which is a nice feature, for me, what's really great is there's the 12-speaker Bose premium sound system with a big subwoofer in back. So having that premium sound system in this car, all this tech and features, makes this a really, really good value proposition. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear. All right, here we are in the rear of the Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid. There's lots of space back here, guys. It's really, really nice. Again, I always say in the video, I'm about 5'10". This is my actual driver position as well. I've got lots of knee room here, easy to slide my feet under the seat up front. I've got lots of headroom, which is nice. There's actually kind of like this divot in the roof line to give you extra headroom. So I feel like if you were even 6'1" or over 6 feet tall, you could still sit back here and probably not have your head rub against the roof, which is nice. Lots of shoulder room as well, and pretty good materials. That leather material carries out here through the seats, through the doors. You got some piano black trim on the doors, and of course some extra speakers for the 12-speaker Bose premium sound system. You get one mat pocket back here, that's it. And there's no HVAC vents, controls, or connectivity. So from that view, there's not much back here, but you do get a center armrest that folds down. There's two cup holders here. So this is a true 5-passenger vehicle. I mean, admittedly, there's a little bit of a hump in the floor, but you could still fit 3 people back here, especially for short trips. And you can see here, as always, we have our booster seat back here, which gives you an idea of how much space your kids are gonna have back here. So you can see there's plenty of space, and even if you had one of those rear-facing child seats back here, you would have plenty of space for your family in this car. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space of the Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid. So there's a lot of space back here, and it's super easy to get to. So there's just this little latch that you pull, and you lift up, goes right up. So there is lots of space back here. In fact, there is 24.5 cubic feet of space. And that number is significant because it's actually the same amount of space that's in the Honda HR-V. That's right, a small CUV has the same space as this hatchback. So essentially, you're not really penalized for space despite having the smaller vehicle. Really, the key difference is you're sitting lower and it's a little bit more sporty, fun to drive probably. So I thought that was really interesting. Next, you can see here, they have this like sliding cargo cover. So that's nice. And they go sideways because they thought it'd be easier than trying to reach into the vehicle and pull out this way. So that's kind of a unique thing about the Civic hatchbacks. There's also an additional cover here to make sure that the entire view is blocked from people that are maybe peering into the back of your vehicle. Other than that, the seats are 60/40 folding in the rear. Pretty easy to get to. There's just a latch here at the top of the shoulder. The floor isn't quite flat. There's a little bit of a hump going over there, but you could still fit tons of stuff back here. In fact, I've seen when you fold both of the seats down, just from the width and space alone, I've seen people fit 55-inch TVs in the box back here. So you could definitely do some serious Costco runs here. Now, the other thing is down below, there's no underfloor storage, but there is a little area here that includes things like your tire repair kit, and even they give you the extra gel to add more back into that TRK if you need it. So that's an interesting feature. So with that, next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain of this Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid. So yes, it finally gets that new two-motor hybrid system that Honda first launched in the Accord, then put in the CR-V, and now they've put it in the Civic. And if you haven't watched our other reviews on the Accord and CR-V that are on the channel, be sure to like and watch those videos as well, because there are some small differences, not only in the power output, but in how the vehicles drive. So first, let's talk about the Civic here. So in this configuration, you have a 2-liter inline-4 Atkinson engine mated to 2 electric motors. One is essentially right next to the engine, helps spin it, kind of acts as a generator to help charge a small battery. And then there's a second motor that actually powers the wheels directly. And in most cases, that's actually what's happening. There's only a few instances where the engine actually will drive the wheels itself. Now, on the Civic, the power output is 200 horsepower, and it makes 232 foot-pounds of torque at 0 RPM. So again, that's the benefit of having this electrified powertrain. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the 2025 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead and grab my seat belt here, and foot on the brake, hit the power button to turn it on, and just like that, it's on, right? So it's super quiet. You really almost have no idea that the vehicle is actually running. And that was true with both the Accord and the CR-V hybrids as well. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and take off here. As always, we'll talk about the drive modes and things like that once we get going. You might hear a little bit of that angel sound. Again, you know, the hybrids have that when you're backing up. You know, you don't do it necessarily at low speeds when you're moving forward like on some of the EVs. It's just a slight humming sound, but other than that, yeah, this thing is really quiet. So here we are, we're taking off. There's a few different drive modes, so let's just talk about that right off the bat. So the drive modes here, so you have Econ mode, so we'll start in that. And essentially what that's going to do is, you know, dial back the throttle, maybe even, you know, modulate your climate controls a little bit, you know, turn down the fan speed, you know, lower, you know, change the temperature to give you the best fuel efficiency possible. And so let's talk about fuel efficiency, right? You know, despite this being a pretty quick and peppy car with good performance, again, we talked about the numbers in the powertrain section, right? I mean, you got 200 horsepower, you got 232 foot-pounds of torque from 0 RPM, but despite that, the EPA ratings on this car, and we'll put them down below, are really good. So it's 50 miles per gallon in the city, it's 45 miles per gallon on the highway, and it's 48 miles per gallon combined on this trim, which, I mean, is really, really good. You know, obviously there's other hybrids out there that might best it, but that's the EPA. I think you can easily best those numbers in real world driving. What's really nice, and we'll talk about it more here in a sec, is, you know, like I said in the interior section, there's these paddle shifters that are here behind the steering wheel. There's a minus on the left side, a plus on the right side. And essentially what it does is it adds levels of regen to the braking, essentially slowing down the vehicle. Now on the Civic, there's 4 levels of regen, and that was true on the CR-V hybrid as well. The Accord actually had even more. It had 6 levels of regen, and by the time you got down to that 6th level, you were almost one pedal driving like it was an EV. That's not the case with the Civic. You have 4 levels, so it won't do one pedal driving and it won't bring you to a complete stop, but it definitely helps to slow you down and improve your efficiency. When you pull the paddle shifters, you'll see next to the D in the digital instrument cluster, these like kind of arrows to show you what level of regen you have applied. And while you're driving in Econ and in normal mode, essentially after a while, they'll just kind of go away, and then the vehicle will go back to the normal drive mode. Once you get up into sport mode, and we'll show that here in a second, in that driving mode, it'll actually keep the higher levels of regen just the whole time you're driving. So that's also a unique part of that driving mode. Now, one of the other things too is in the digital instrument cluster, next to the D for drive, it does say EV. So that lets you know that the vehicle is essentially acting like a BEV, right? I mean, it's the electric motors that are powering the front wheel, and essentially the engine isn't working. And even when the engine is working in conjunction with the one motor, essentially it's acting as a generator to help recharge the battery. So now I'm going to go ahead and move up into normal mode. And the moment I switch in, the throttle response is instantly noticeable. Econ, you can tell it's throttled back. The vehicle doesn't feel slow in econ mode. It actually is still deceivingly quick, all things considered. But in normal mode, just a little bit more throttle, pressure applied gives you a lot more performance. One of the things that I noticed is through the different drive modes, though, I don't really feel like the steering changes all that much. It might get a little bit heavier throughout the drive modes, but it's pretty much the same throughout each mode. Like I said, really the big difference that you're going to notice is really the actual amount of performance you get once you get into the throttle a little bit. So I'm going to go around this turn, and then what I'll try is actually to go up into sport mode. So I switch up. Now in sport mode, what I notice is not only a massive change to again how much performance you're getting, but you also get a little bit more engine sound. That again, even though it's kind of spinning and acting as a generator, it seems like it's working harder. So it does get a little bit buzzy, does get a little bit louder, but I think for the added performance, it's worth it. So here I am, I'm coasting along. I'm actually going to go up to a light here, and then we'll do a full wide open throttle so you can actually see the true performance in sport mode. Also, what I'm doing now is I'm pulling back on the paddle shifters, and in sport mode, next to that little D in the digital instrument cluster, it actually has an M, basically indicating like a manual mode. And like I said just a second ago, now those 4 arrows indicating the level of regen, they'll just stay on. So it's good and it's bad. It's good because it kind of remembers and keeps that setting. The bad is, like, if you're at a stoplight and you're in the most aggressive regen setting and you're starting to let off the brake, you may not be ready for it. So what you can do is actually hold down the plus paddle shifter. If you just hold it, give it a few seconds, it essentially goes back to default. All those levels of regen go away, and now you're gonna have full performance, and again, no assist during braking. So that's actually really nice and a nice little trick to know. So once traffic clears up here, we're gonna go ahead just from 0 and just do a full wide open throttle in sport mode so we can see the performance of the Civic Hatchback. I know there's been a lot of people that have been talking about the number 200 horsepower. Isn't that the same as SI? Well, we're gonna test it out right now and see how it does. So here we go, lights about to change, wide open throttle. Almost got a little wheel hop there. 60. So it's not crazy fast, but it's definitely not slow. Like, this car gets up and goes, and you can actually, like I said, I felt just a little bit of wheel hop, even had a little bit of tire chirp on there. So this car is deceivingly quick. Now, what I will say is the performance is actually even better from a mid-throttle application. Like doing a wide open throttle from 0 like I just did now, that actually doesn't give you the best performance. I think this car shines once it's in EV mode and you kind of baby the throttle and just manage the electric power. That really gives you that sense like, wow, it almost feels like a BEV that you're driving. So but this car is pretty quick, actually. I've been able to surprise a few different people from a stoplight because, like I said, that power is available from 0 RPM, and the moment you get into it, the car just takes off. So again, I think given the price point, right, just under 33 grand, those EPA fuel economy numbers, 50 miles per gallon city, 200 horsepower, and being pretty peppy and fun to drive, I think this car is going to be really, really hard to beat. But as always, let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Is there a better hybrid in this class in the market today? Would you go all in and get the Sport Touring Hybrid for the extra features? For it's like $3 grand basically to go from the Sport Hybrid to the Sport Touring Hybrid, and the Bose sound system, the leather seating, just some of the styling touch points, the Google built-in. To me, the 3000 seems like a no-brainer if you can afford it. So anyway, again, thanks for watching. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive video.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2025 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring Hybrid? Is it truly one of the best hybrids on the market today? I mean, we covered all the details on this vehicle, from the pricing to the tech, features, and design. Given all that, I think it's definitely going to be pretty hard to beat. So let us know down in the comments below if you want to see other trims of the 2025 Civic, other hybrids, and of course competitor hybrids as well. We're happy to bring it to you. And if you haven't watched our first look on this vehicle with the sedan, be sure to like and watch that video as well. So if you've joined us before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, we'll see you at the next episode.